that's why you need these discussions closed door with people who understand the religion. Hello, namaste, namaste. And welcome to our fun, informative, and wonderful show in our humble opinion.
Ayo!
Hey, can you all sound a bit more enthusiastic? We try one more time.
We will.
One more time. Our informative, topical, and fun show in our humble opinion.
Ayo!
Okay. With me, I have my partners in crime, Gilbert Prof. Chia and Chris Hanson.
Cipute.
And I am Daisy Rani Subaya, your hot or cool ma, depending on the topics.
No. Vade hot chili.
Okay, so today's topic is hot. No, in fact, it's bloody. Oh, sorry.
Huh?
It could have become bloody if not for the quick action and vigilance of ISA, who detained a youth for planning an attack on Jews. This is the second person to be self-radicalized in Singapore in recent times. So now we are going to have extra security in places of worship. So the question is extremism on the rise in Singapore? And how should we deal with this as a nation? Should sensitive religious issues be discussed behind closed doors or out in the open? So we shall be talking about that. And our second story is about someone who really gets your blood boiling. Utterly heinous, pedophile who repeatedly raped and sexually abused his 3 daughters for 14 years. Thank God he was caught and jailed. But once again, why are sexual crimes increasing in Singapore? But first, let's start with the Singaporean youth who was detained under ISA for planning a knife attack on Jews leaving the synagogue. He was a 20-year-old man who was planning to use this knife attack and kill the Jews who were leaving the synagogue and to take up arms abroad, and he's been detained under the Internal Security Act. Amirul Ali, he was a full-time national serviceman in the Singapore Armed Forces, and he was arrested in February because he had planned to target 3 Jewish men after the Saturday congregation prayers at the synagogue in Waterloo Street. Now, this youth is another youth who seems to have been self-radicalized. He targeted these 3 Jewish men because he believed that they had served national service in Israel and hence committed atrocities towards Palestinians. I mean, we know that this guy was misled. But Amirullah decided to attack these Jews in July 2019 after watching a CNA documentary on the Jewish community here. And ISD said he was enraged that they were thriving peacefully in Singapore while Palestinians were suffering abroad. But here is the interesting thought that I want to share today and discuss. Because in Parliament, Minister Masagos advised Faisal Manap that sensitive religious issues need to be discussed behind closed doors in response to his suggestion that nurses should be allowed to wear their turongs. Now, if religious issues are discussed behind closed doors and we do not have healthy debates about this in the open, then maybe we might never be able to involve the young in these discussions or educate them on religion. Now, I personally think it should be done behind closed doors, and I have my valid reasons. But I am going to put this topic of self-radicalization, discussing these topics behind closed doors, first to Prof. Gilbert, what do you think?
Okay, I think there are 2 separate issues here. I think the discussion of sensitive religious topics is separate from the issue of radicalization. There may be some link there, but this guy did not decide to go and kill Jews because of the discussion of tudongs.
Of course not.
Yes.
The turung example is given because of that there was a discussion in Parliament to say, if there are sensitive issues, should we take that back door? So this is a sensitive issue.
Yeah, no, but I don't think we need to. We shouldn't link them, and we should not discuss them in the same breath, really. And I'll explain why. Yeah. Radicalization, self-radicalization, is happening all over the world. Look at what happened in the U.S. with the storming of the U.S. Capitol. That is radicalization. That's people basically who are taking up arms, armed with weapons to go and storm the U.S. Capitol because of their beliefs, right? So I don't think that this is something which is just happening in Singapore, but it is happening a lot. And the reason for it is because of the access of misinformation, of dangerous information available on the internet. So I think that is the issue that we need to look at. So therefore, I would raise this point for some discussion here, perhaps. Should the Singapore government restrict some access to dangerous sites in the same way as they have blocked Playboy magazine, they blocked a lot of porn sites in Singapore? Does that help? Does that not help? It's worth a discussion here because there are well-known sites which are very dangerous, which do feed misinformation.
Okay, I think we'll put this over to Chris. But I just to recap, you see, we both are talking about similar but yet different points. Because one of my points about taking any sensitive religious issue behind closed doors, how does that work? Like I said, I have my valid reasons for agreeing that it should be taken behind closed doors. But would the youth of today agree with that? Or would the nation of Singapore agree with that? Well, your topic is about looking at sites and controlling them. What do you think, Chris?
I don't want to sound as if I'm sitting on a fence here.
But you are?
No.
Oh.
I barely even started. I see where Daisy's coming from, where the debate in Parliament is concerned. I think it's a broader perspective there. If people can engage on what is discussed in Parliament, say, for instance, race, religion. I think the government has a tough job to take a stance. And the stance would be, right now they're taking a stance where if we discuss it outside of closed doors, then we don't know how reactions could be
Absolutely.
from the different religious groups.
Yes.
On the other hand, if they don't do that, if they actually decide, let's discuss this openly, or rather, if they don't do that, let me take that back. Apologies. If they don't do that, as a developed country, a nation, but as a community in that developed nation, we would never mature into having frank, open discussions, and allowing community, society to mature and go, let's talk about this, let's discuss this. We are okay. We're mature enough, civilized enough, to know how to handle this. Perhaps if we do discuss this, good things could be derived out of it. For instance, that Islam, for example, cannot be seen like what some people think
Sure.
they're full of terrorists, right? We have to avoid that because we also have that kid who had plans. He's also been detained to kill Muslims in masjids, in mosques.
Yeah.
Right? And then
the Christian
we can also talk about, okay, we have Jews in the community, but a lot of people, like this boy that's just got arrested, actually thought that the Jews in Singapore are Israelis, but they're not. They're primarily Singaporean.
Who've done national service.
You see, so if we don't discuss,
Sure. I think that's an ideal, but I think the reality is that it would be very messy if we discuss these kinds of issues and people get very inflamed. Just look at what's happening right now online. A lot of things are being discussed openly online, right? And it is so full of vitriol, hatred being generated. So my fear is that while it is an ideal that we could be all mature and discuss these things openly, I am pessimistic about that. I think
Gilbert,
that the opposite will happen.
Gilbert, let's
it
put
would
it this
be very
way.
messy.
Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it. The vitriol already exists. People will still come in and say ridiculous things where race and religion is concerned.
I think it would be even worse if it's discussed in Parliament openly with politicians taking
knows?
sides that way.
Who knows?
Well, of course, this is my opinion. I'm just giving you my opinion.
So-
From seeing what's happened in other countries.
So what
That's it. So it's happened in other countries.
I'm listening to both the guys on either side of me, and I'm trying to say that my opinion would be that it would be important to take maybe a two-pronged approach or a middle path, like we say. So I'm absolutely, I believe that there are some issues
That can be
which,
discussed.
No, that are best first, like if you're talking about certain sensitive religious issues, they are first best discussed by the experts, behind closed doors, who have the knowledge, who
And the
understand
temperance.
the religion. And so once there's a clear understanding about the government with the religious body and how to roll out what the discussion points are, maybe once you do that, you don't hurt people without understanding.
maybe-
And let me just end by saying that even if you have this two-pronged approach where you start off with closed doors, understand the situation, review it before bringing it out to the public, I do believe even that is not a magic bullet. Because people get influenced from outside the community, like you correctly
You
said.
know what's disturbing for me?
Online,
You know what's disturbing for me, guys? What's disturbing for me is that this guy served his national service full time. And I don't know, man. For me, back in my day, if I, having served my national service, right? To me, it's for the country, it's for the nation, and I don't understand how come someone like him can't see it that way.
Because
You know,
religion.
maybe during NS, we know that there's national ideology programs and all that during national service. Maybe it has to be tweaked. Maybe something can be added in. I don't know whether they're doing it now.
Oh.
To talk to them about about that the faith that we've got here in Singapore. I mean, no one's radical. You know what I mean?
But Chris, just to answer that, I think there was a while back, and I'm not really very, very sure when, there was a survey talking about, about jihad or terrorists or suicide bombers or something to that effect. And I remember there was a very small group of people who yet believed that when you take such a drastic action, it is because you agree with the principle behind that action. So I think that's very important. I mean, that's why you need these discussions closed door with people who understand the religion.
And this is the enhanced audio of a boa constrictor who's unable to coil anymore.
But then, that's one crime which got caught in the middle, thank God. And now we are coming to the other one, which is this utterly heinous pedophile who was jailed for repeatedly raping, sexually abusing his 3 daughters for 14 years. I don't know what to say about this, except that again and again you tell yourself, it's a disease. But why are these sexual crimes increasing in Singapore at this rate? Chris?
Well, of late, yeah, we've been having quite a bit, but nothing irks me more than to see children getting abused, being abused by adults. Well, basically pedophilia, right? I don't know what to think about this too, because this guy's been diagnosed as a pedophile. It is a disease, an illness. A pedophile has fantasies and urges of prepubescent children, and up to even the age of 16. But it doesn't mean that pedophiles don't get sexually aroused by the opposite gender. They're adults, So it's to me. I mean, a pedophile like this guy, married, kids, and abuse his own children.
So why do you think that this is increasing in Singapore? Is it something deeper in society, in the community, or is it just a disease with this man can't help?
No,
I think it's
Okay, so what do you think?
no.
What do you think?
I think like what Gilbert said earlier,
Well,
maybe it's access to porn.
Yeah. Okay, let me give my views about this.
yeah.
All right.
Your
First of
humble
all,
opinion.
Yeah, my humble opinion. First of all, the fact that someone is a pedophile means they have a proclivity to like younger subjects. Does not mean that they can't control it. In the same way as all of us have got proclivities towards, men or women, does not mean that we all act on these impulses. So we cannot say it's a disease and therefore there's no personal responsibility. Psychologists are very clear about this, all right? Just because you have a proclivity does not mean you act upon it, does not mean that
But
you
it can
don't
be
have a control.
treated?
Okay.
Because we call it disease, we assume
No,
something.
I think that using a term like a disease is a completely wrong term to describe it.
Okay.
It is simply a psychological pattern that they have developed from whatever reason, all right? But that does not mean that they cannot control it. There are many people who...
I got to stop you there because I'm looking at this. I did a bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
See, Gilbert, pedophilia is termed pedophilic disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders,
Yes.
DSM-5.
Yes.
And it defines it as paraphilia involving intense and recurrent sexual urges towards and fantasies about prepubescent children.
Sure.
That
That's
have
the
either been acted
desire.
upon or
Yes.
which cause the person with the attraction distress or interpersonal difficulty. I am not defending them, please.
No, of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
But since you raised what you did.
Yeah, no,
right,
I'm saying basically this is a proclivity, meaning that they have this desire.
The urge.
People who have desires do not always act on desires. So you cannot then say, oh, they cannot help it. It means that maybe they're distressed if they can't act on it, but so what? You know, it's the same way as a man saying, well, you know, I mean, I saw this beautiful woman and I just felt like I had to molest her because I felt distressed if I did not molest her. So I think that's one thing to be very clear about. To address the question of whether or not this is on the increase, I think that it's always been there, but I think what is good is maybe the increase is in the reporting.
Correct.
All right?
Correct.
And again, this is so heinous what he did to his 3 daughters over 14 years. It was difficult to even read the news reports. I just want to raise a couple of points here. Where's the mother in all of
Where's
this?
yes.
Okay.
That's the...
Where is the mother? Where are the other adults? Couple of things here. We must have in schools, we must teach children, both male and female, from the time they are in primary school, I think,
To come out.
to come out and that nobody can do this to you
Correct.
because the daughters did not know what was happening.
And they must have been so scared.
They were scared, they cried, they, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
If they had been told time and time again
That you...
that even if your parents do this to you, you must report to a teacher.
Yes.
All right?
And you know what was fantastic, Gilbert? I'm sorry for butting in, but it was the third kid, the
Yes.
youngest daughter,
Yes.
who I feel over time
Yes.
must have learnt through school or through her friends or just awareness because she's
Yes.
younger, that she realized and took the courage of talking about it to her friend.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
So that kind of education of children needs to start very young and they
Mm.
need to be trained and taught to report if this ever happens
Correct.
to them.
Along with sex education
Absolutely.
in school,
As a-
you know, where you understand the wrong touch and
As
the
a
right
point
touch.
of interest, or, well, at least a bit of knowledge, yeah, what I'm seeing here, and again, I am not defending these guys, for goodness sake, I'm not, yeah? But what I'm reading here is testing individuals from a variety of referral sources inside and outside the criminal justice system as well as controls. These studies found associations between pedophilia and lower IQs, poorer scores in memory tests, greater rates of non-right-handedness, greater rates of school grade failure over and above the IQ differences, lesser physical height, greater probability of having suffered childhood head injuries resulting in unconsciousness, and several differences in MRI-detected brain structures, right? So, such studies suggest that there are one or more neurological characteristics present at birth that cause or increase the likelihood of being pedophilic, okay? And that pedophiles are less cognitively impaired than non-pedophilic child molesters. So
now we are blaming it on science.
no, I'm not blaming it on
No, okay, let me
science.
be clear about this. Okay, I've read these things before. What they're saying basically is that there may be a correlation between all of these things.
Correct.
And that, but it does not mean that their behavior is uncontrollable. All right? People with low IQs in general have lower impulse controls. So that goes hand in hand, whether it's eating or whether it is theft or whether it is abuse. So the proclivity is there. That means to say the propensity does not equal an excuse for acting on it. That's, we have to be very clear about that.
So what do you think?
Correct.
What do you think the solution should be?
Correct.
The
Because you
solu-
see, I listen to you and you're spot on. This is, you know, also very
This is
clear
science.
that there is something science.
Yeah.
We talk about, you know, human behavior that you're talking
Yes.
about and the controls and the impulses.
Let's put it this way.
So where would this
Okay, let me
spark
put it this
be?
way.
Yeah.
You can read everything about why people are gay, for example. It's not something they can control. It is something that they're born with. They have this great desire and attraction towards the same gender, right? But just because that they are gay does not mean that they would abuse somebody.
Yeah, but Gilbert, there's another added point to this. It's one thing to say that you have a certain affliction or affiliation towards...
Not
being-
affliction
sorry,
when it
no,
comes to
affliction-
homosexuality.
No, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You see, here we are talking about a situation where there is a problem with you within, where genetically are you more predisposed to do
no.
it?
Yes,
no.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
So,
I mean.
so
it
where
isn't.
is...
Because you use the example of gay people,
Yeah.
right? They're born like with this way.
Yes.
But the way I read this, and again, I am not defending pedophiles.
If you say this one more time, I'm
Yeah,
just...
but,
No, but let's put it this way, okay? The science is not by any means confirmed. There is a great disagreement about this also, and really, we're not experts to talk about this.
Gilbert, sorry, but the same can be said about homosexuality, right? I mean, it's people can be born that way.
Yeah.
Respect to that, sure, but people could be born this way as well.
No,
you know.
I don't believe that at all. I think that I honestly, because I've looked into this basically, and I'll tell you this, all right? What you're reading there is saying that they found a correlation between people who have got pedophilic tendencies and some of these conditions. But there are many high-functioning pedophiles who are born highly intelligent, very successful. So there is no direct correlation between the two.
So it's not that every time
Yes.
this is true.
Yes.
So these are
Exactly.
just cases,
Yes,
different cases
exactly.
where you would...
And regardless of that, even if someone is born with this, does not mean that we can excuse or allow that kind of
Okay,
behavior.
I want to bring in
Right.
one point because we've spoken about this, but something that I read said that the chances are, okay, he goes to jail, he comes out, whether there is rehabilitation in jail or not, we don't know. And we don't know what kind of counseling would be happening there. But you come out of jail and the chances are, because of this kind of tendency, you would or might do it again.
Yes.
You may
What-
be a repeat offender.
Yes, yes.
So how does one
Society
solve
responds
this?
by distancing them, making sure they cannot ever be in the presence of children again.
But that's not in Singapore, right? That's in the US, I know of. If they are known predators, they are not allowed
They're
to
on a
be
sex
named.
registry and all that.
Correct,
Well,
yes.
Singapore needs to do that if Singapore
we
has
don't
not
have
done
it
that.
now. I don't think so.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But
this-
I would say that is necessary because if they cannot control this, then society needs to control them.
Okay.
You see? I
Well,
think that's
well,
very
So
It's
important.
that's
chemical
where you
castration.
Okay, let me address
you
chemical-
safeguard your children. You safeguard.
Yes, let me address chemical castration because
Yeah.
that's a very important thing. Many people do think, and I used to think until I did the research into this, that is a cure-all. Actually, it's not a cure-all. What chemical castration does basically is it lowers the sex drive and makes them physiologically less able to perform sex. Okay, but it does not remove the psychological desire. So what happens? Yes, what they find is this, right? That the people who get chemically castrated then need even more external stimuli than they can receive internally for them to perform the sex act or even to perform masturbation. So it is actually not a cure. It is not a solution.
But they
at all.
can't get it up. How could they even have any form
Sex.
of...
Yeah.
There's a lot of molestation that goes on whether or not they can get it up. It does not also stop erection. If they go and molest with their hands, molest with their mouths,
Yeah, there was,
that is still molestation.
That's what he did with the
Yeah.
second
But they
daughter
can't get
as
it
well.
up. If they
Yeah.
can't
Okay.
get it up, there's nothing that they can actually get,
No, you're wrong
derive
there.
any
No,
enjoyment out of it.
you're wrong there.
Okay,
you know.
guys, get it up or not get it up. There's another question that I want to ask you all as well.
Yeah.
You see, we keep saying pedophile, right? And so we are just assuming that the word pedophile means that they're younger children that you're attracted to. But he was raping his daughter until she was 21.
Like I said, you see, that
So
doesn't mean
where
that you're a
does
pedophile.
this stop?
No, it doesn't
Yep.
mean that a person's labeled a pedophile, right? That he doesn't have sexual urges for adult members of the opposite.
So it's from the youngest to...
Of course.
I would like to address this and not even use the term pedophile for this guy simply
Okay.
because he's just a sexual abuser. He's a rapist, right? So the age is totally irrelevant to me because it's just wrong, all right? The other issue here also is that it is one of power. It is one of power where he had power over these people,
Yeah, that makes sense.
you know, and that is something
over his children.
over
yeah.
his children, you know. And a lot of times, experts will tell us that rape is not necessarily a crime of sex only;
Yeah,
it is a
agreed.
crime of power
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And
you see?
actually, what is that's why you find it that it's even more heinous that you had these 3 children who are supposed to depend on a father.
Absolutely.
So a father is a figure that you want
It's
to
bad
believe
enough if
in.
you were to do it to a complete stranger, much worse to your own children.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
So
and the
again,
impact that it has left on the children.
Yes.
Because children have the post traumatic
of course,
disorder,
yeah.
and they
so
have,
I would say, for us to move forward on something like this is that society really needs to see, teach the children that this is wrong, really make it a hyper vigilant subject for them. Women who are in these kinds of relationships, you need to watch your guys. I mean, if the mother was not even sleeping in the room, but letting the daughter sleep in the room with the father, that by itself is really
and
something wrong.
Gilbert, I'm just wondering, so many years it went on. I do think at some time, when you're a mother,
Yeah, you
when
must
you're
have a
wife,
sense.
you have, I'm sure, and
Yes.
and I also assume they're not living in this huge,
Yes,
house,
house. Yes, exactly.
where because the youngest daughter actually saw her father raping the
Yes,
daughters.
terrible.
guys.
So
Terrible.
what? No, I'm thinking of the frustration of the wife.
No, but it's not
Is she-
frustration.
or the
I tell you this.
or the
okay,
helplessness.
let Chris speak because I know he wants to say something.
Look, what makes anyone think that the wife wasn't abused also? Just because it wasn't reported.
But she's
For
an
all you
adult,
know-
though.
No, hang on. If he's power hungry and he loves to assume that power and control over his daughters, chances are he had done the same to his wife. You know what I mean? I'm speculating, but then again, and after a couple of years of marriage, and if it's an abusive marriage, there could also be Stockholm syndrome.
Can you imagine what? I mean, I'm sorry. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Remember Adrian Lim, the famous
Yes.
famous killer,
Yeah.
right? He is many years ago.
Yeah,
The
we had
wife
done
and
that
his
for
mistress
were helping him
were
to
helping him.
dismember
Yes,
the
okay.
bodies
All
and
right.
all that.
I think that the bottom line has got to be that women, whoever you are, you cannot be in such weakness that you allow your 3 daughters
to be
raped and molested with your knowledge, if that's the case,
If that-
for 14 years. Then you are culpable. Then you are
And
complicit.
so in this case, was that ever brought up?
No, we don't know, but I think that it's important to note this. There have been many cases when they did interview the woman and they did say, I was so afraid of losing my husband or my boyfriend
Correct.
that I turned a blind eye.
To
So
all
in
these years
general,
of rape.
let us raise children, especially daughters, to never need a man so much
That
in your
you-
life
yeah.
that you will ever tolerate this kind of abuse either upon yourself or upon your children.
Correct. But guys, we brought this up one more time. One more point that we have brought up often, especially both of you, and that is 3 girls going through all that. They are meeting family members. They are going to school.
Yes.
They are meeting friends. They
Yes.
are relatives.
Yes, they're not
and,
locked
and,
up.
I don't
And
know.
nobody notices from the other side. They don't have the courage to even whisper it to somebody.
Yeah.
The thing is
I mean, what are we doing as a society? Would be my question.
How did he get caught to begin with?
The daughter.
The
daughter reported.
youngest, the last daughter, told
So,
her friend
yes.
who reported it in school.
Because sometimes, again, I sound as if I'm defending this guy. No, I'm just saying that sometimes because kids, since young they've been abused, they think this is normal. They
Yeah.
think this is usual.
Which is why you need to teach kids it's not normal. That's my
Yeah,
point,
but
basically.
in that household,
yeah.
the guy is
So
supposed
let's
to be
start
doing it.
now.
this-
If we are not teaching children this, we need to teach them this.
Correct. Recently, I think there was an article about porn and how aware and is working, trying to work with children to explain to them what should be studied in school or the subject in school, where teachers bring up sex education in such a way that girls and guys start knowing about the birds and the bees, like we used to call it. I mean, in today's day and age, you can't keep yet thinking that kids will come to know, and if you tell them there's a bird and a bee, we just have to be more explicit, explain to them before they go and find out all this through pornographic channels,
Yep.
porn channels.
Anyway, the point is very simple, to everyone listening and watching us out there. I mean, look, be vigilant in your own household. This pedophilia or even any form of sexual abuse is just wrong. Okay? I'm just trying to understand, what drives someone to do
Correct.
something like this.
And that's fair.
Okay. Anyway, we've come to the end of the show.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Two dark topics,
But necessary to address.
Yes,
That's
they're
why
dark topics. Every time we bring up abuse and all, I'm like, hello,
That's why you
one
must-
more time.
that's why you must look like chili today, and got
Today?
one vade down
I
there.
don't know. Okay.
Okay.
But
So can we
it's-
ask the vade to say his piece first before I go to the chili?
Okay. This has been, whether it's the radicalization or whether it is this horrible sexual abuse of children, we are all in a society needing to really look out for each other, keep our eyes and our ears open to instances of abuse. And I'll repeat what I had said in another show, that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So when you keep silent, if you notice something, you're complicit in this. So open your eyes. If you're a school teacher, do watch out for the kids there. If you're a friend, as this girl's friend did, tell the right thing.
Yeah,
we report
the
it,
teacher.
to the teacher. Please, let's all watch out for each other. That's the only way that we can really survive. Watch out for each other.
And don't be a kote.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't play with
Okay.
the kote too much.
Correct, exactly. Hello, Chidi, your turn.
Play. Okay. No, I want to just touch upon the topic of race and religion and all these sensitive topics that are coming up. Every day you open the newspaper, there is something sensitive being mentioned there in our tiny little beautiful country, where we just need to get more conscious of this. And I just want to quote Faisal Abdul Rauf. He's the American Sufi imam and author. And he says that the truth is that killing innocent people is always wrong. And no argument or excuse, no matter how deeply believed, can ever make it right. No religion on earth condones the killing of innocent people. No faith tradition tolerates the random killing of our brothers and sisters on this earth, which is so heartening to read, because that's the path that Singapore takes. Let's talk, let's discuss, let's be tolerant and get rid of these radical views.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandma Daisy.
No, only today, only Ma.
Okay,
Grand has been dropped because
Ma Daisy. Ma Daisy the chili. Wait. I need to warm up my. Wait. I gotta warm them up first. Are you ready for Chris's ditties?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Here's the ditty for this episode.
I don't know how you can have such an episode. How can you smile so much about your ditty?
Wait, listen
Or
to the
ditty
ditty.
or
Listen to the
whatever
ditty.
it is.
This is how it goes. We need to talk and not balk. Hey, stop typing lah. I'm talking lah. Walao eh. One more time.
Taking notes lah.
Damn rude no, this guy. Okay, one more time, because he damn rude. Bloody vade. Okay, I'm going to start now.
Okay.
We need to talk and not balk over matters concerning colors. It betters us as sisters and brothers. Fear not that this may create discord. We could live in greater accord. But woe to predators in our city. Doubt you'd receive much pity. You will be loved long time in Changi. I'm sure many there will find you pretty.
Oh dear. That's a good one. Well done.
Thank you very much. Woo!
Okay, so yeah.
Rude
Okay.
no, this fella.
So now
Sorry,
we
I
need to
clap for you.
close our
Come, I clap for you.
episode.
I'm supposed to close.
So yeah, so
I
I'm
know.
reminding
You just sit there,
him
look
that
pretty in your chili sari.
hot.
This has been, in our humble opinion, together with Daisy Irani, Ma Daisy,
Namaste. Namaste.
and the Vade for today.
He
Cupid
loves
Whatever that means.
He loves it. He says it. He laughs at it. Nobody has a clue.
And
But
I'm just Chris Hansen. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do like, share, comment. We are available on Facebook, on YouTube, and eventually on iTunes and Spotify. Until next time, everybody, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.
Namaste.
Bye bye.